All right, guys, so that was Spacer's Space Adventure board game. Guys, welcome to the review portion of this video. If you haven't watched the playthrough, feel free to click one of the links in our description to watch the playthrough. We also have a how to play and overview portion of it, but we are in the review section of the video. And before, guys, we get to our before we get to whether or not if we like the game, whether or not, or how we felt about the game, I wanted to start off by saying something, and that is that I believe personally, after playing this game through a couple times, that Tyler, and keep in mind, guys, number one, this is a prototype. I forgot if I said at the beginning, this is a prototype. So the art, he said, was mostly finalized, if not completely finalized. Okay, so the components themselves are not finalized. The art is mostly finalized, okay? But I want to say that Tyler, he also did all of this by himself. Yeah, so Tyler did he did the art, the concept, the rules, everything by himself. Tyler. And I think Tyler has done something here that a lot of like well-known publishers and well-known developers in general still struggle to do to this day. Like, we've played some games from like big designers that were like, nah. It's like we haven't even finished some of them because we're just like, nah, it's not I had it on my like sell list immediately.
Fun. Yeah.
So I think what he's done here is delivered a concept, a design overall, and just a gaming experience that would be difficult for a well-known publisher to deliver. It's an incredible design.
Yeah.
I just want to start off by saying that. So what we're going to do right now, guys, we're going to go, I want to go kind of back and forth because I could sit here and talk for like half an hour about this game and then she'd just be like, yep. Mm-hmm. So I want to go back and forth and just talk about things that we liked first, okay?
Okay, first impressions?
First impressions of the game. It's her first impressions. I played through a couple times. This is her actual first playthrough.
Yep, this is my absolute first. So first things first is when you walk in to seeing this game, it looks so fun. Like, it looks like so much fun. It's bright, it's colorful, it's something that you want to get into.
But it's not overwhelming.
Correct. It's pleasing. It's aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. And in my opinion, for someone who doesn't play board games, like if you were trying to introduce someone to play board games, I feel like if they saw this set up, they would automatically want to play it. It wouldn't deter them at all. They wouldn't be like, you're making me play a board game. They'd be like, oh, sweet, this looks awesome. Let's try it out. Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's a really a positive point in order to try and get someone to play this.
Like they say, you eat with your eyes, but like you, like the first thing you see is, and guys, like the fact that he did this alone, like the component, like it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful game. And I like what she said actually about like it's not like, it looks fun. In some games like we've played before that we really enjoyed, but when you look at it at first, it's overwhelming and it makes you not really want it. You're just like, I've seen her when I break out a new game that's really intense, she'd be like,
no.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just late at night. She's like, no. She'll literally just look and be like, no. And so I completely agree. It's, that's one thing I wanted to kind of bounce off that. The components in this game are beautiful. And they're not even finalized. Like, I was actually surprised that they weren't finalized because they're so nice. Mm-hmm. The tiles feel good. The cards feel great. And they're not even, I don't even know how thick these actually are, but they feel good right out the gate.
Yeah.
The art on this, now this is a constellation right here. I forgot what constellation it was. I should know that, I guess. I'm not an astronomer. I did look it up before, but I forgot. But this is beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Like that, it's the deer constellation, whatever that is. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we feel the same way about the art. It's fun. You know what I mean? Like this, it's like simple, but it's nice. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, like the asteroids, they're not like super graphic, but they're really nice to look at. They're not overwhelming. They're not distracting in any way. And the component quality of these like little discs, I love this like resin, nice resin. They feel good, dude. You just want to fly this around like off the game. You know what I mean? Just sit here and make noise. Wait, no, you just want to play with these. They feel good. Mm-hmm. And I would say that about the quality of every component on here. Yeah. All the cards feel really nice, and that is something. So component quality, top notch.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And art as well. Very, very good. Okay, so another thing, I'll start off this one. Another thing that I absolutely love about this game, and it was something that I knew, I was like, right when I read this rulebook the first time and started setting up, I was like, dude, I have to talk about this. The variability in this game is absurd.
Yeah.
It's absurd. Like, one of the most important factors for games for us that we've realized is how replayable is it? How much shelf life does it have? You know what I mean? Because we play games before and we're like, but this is going to be the same every time. Like, if we really love the game, we'll keep it. But this game it's almost like every single part of this game makes it different.
Yeah.
I mean, the map itself, you could have a game that is dynamically different because these planets are, the way you drew it out, are all next to each other. Can you imagine? Yeah. And they're just, you're just shuffling, right? And just going crazy, just, it's just insane. The little fist fights the whole time. Or they could be completely spread out. This is a pretty decently spread out game, which made it very interesting because we had to do a lot more traveling. The other ones, you might have to do a lot more attacking. Yeah. You might have to get, like, I was working on myself, like trying to get like the science rolls for the, like the blip tokens and the missions because everything was spread out. But if we were all next to each other, cannons, you know what I mean? Yeah. All that stuff. And it would have been way riskier. So it's so different. And the game would be a lot shorter if all the planets were next to each other. You know what I mean? It's incredibly dynamic. The all these cubes are going to be different every time. All of these are going to be different. There's a whole stack of these right here. For each planet, they're different, just benefits. All the boost cards are different. All these events are different. The encounters are incredible. The missions are incredible. And they're so different. And they're very thematic. Very, very thematic. So. Yeah,
I was going to go with the playability. And I love the event cards that came out.
Oh my god.
Because it changes your... Like, a lot of this is strategy, but a lot of it is luck when you throw in the event cards.
Yeah.
Like, it completely threw off my game. I probably would have won.
But it changed. It immediately changed the strategy.
But I got a ton of good stuff, too. Like, when the beacons became, like, a planet. Like, that was like a boost to my morale, It was, I just loved...
And then moving the star and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that was
the star.
That was wild, dude. Wild. Just having to move those and everything. The event cards, guys, there are games that have very weak event cards. There are games that have very, like, you get them and you're like, oh, so it's +1 wheat. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, who cares? This game is like drastic changes that change your entire strategy, but don't ruin it for you at all. Like, it's so, every time you just got to adapt, you know what I mean? But the event cards themselves, like, were fun. Every time an event came out, were you excited? Genuinely.
Well, I mean, it depends how.
Well, I mean, like, when we were about to draw it, it's like the excitement. There was a lot of...
I wanted to see what
anticipation
the event was going to be. Yeah.
Yes, because they're very intense. Very intense. And the boost cards are awesome. They're not like a game-breaking OP thing. They give you these benefits, but they're just good enough that you're like, sick. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's not like, oh, wow, this is broken. Now I can just do whatever I want. You never feel like you can do whatever you want.
Right. It's like perfect difficulty with... Yeah, I don't know.
I know. Like, I know what you're saying. It's like it feels like the perfect difficulty. It's like it's not an easy game by any means.
It's simple to play, but it's hard to finish.
Yeah, I like that. Like the actions themselves and the things that you do are. It's easy to understand, but it's hard to get the tasks done.
Yeah.
But it's not in a bad way. It's a very, very doable way. It's just like takes. It's a little bit punishing. It's tense. And you're like, dude, I want to do this. And the die rolls, like the cards, the dynamics of like having to roll the die. And like some of the cards are so punishing. You're like, crap, man. But the reward is so good that you're just like, I want to do it. I want to try. And all of the results of these things, the theme, the little story you tell when you're playing the game are very different and very... It feels like you're playing through this actual story. You know what I mean? It feels like we played through a story-driven game that could be different every single time you play. And there's so many mission cards and so many encounter cards we didn't even go through.
No, we didn't even touch them.
But a lot of games also will have like a die roll where it's not fun die rolls. It's like you roll a die and you get a little thing and it's like, oh, take 1,000 space bucks. This is like he has these like scenarios. You know what I mean? And you go through the scenarios like this. The encounter deck, dude. Like having to choose these different options and then the other person reads.
The player interaction is incredible.
Yes, I was hoping you would say that. That was unscripted.
In this
so good
game. And this is my first time playing, so this is literally my first impression of it. The player interaction is amazing, especially with Yeah. The die roll and the reading the cards, and we
Like,
didn't fight. We didn't attack each other, but I can see how that would.
But we were constantly talking because the way Tyler did it, and it's so smart, is it's like indirect. No, it's direct and indirect player interaction, but like he involved other players and other players' turns. That is something you don't see enough in games.
Yeah.
Like other people are usually just sitting there like this, you know what I mean? Just waiting. And like I had to do things, roll the dice for her, and it was kind of satisfying when I hit that like damage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, when I had to read the result of her encounter card, I loved being a part of that. It's so good for 2 players, because like 4, it'd still be great, but they have to pick one other person to read, right? But with 2 players, you're always doing something. You know, even when it's not your turn, you feel like it's your turn, which is epic. It's so good.
And this is one of the things that I always talk about in all of our reviews. Is this a good date game? Because I think date games are super important for people. This is a fantastic date game.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, if you just wanted,
fun.
Instead of going to a movie or eating, you know, you just break it out, and there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of interaction. So I think it's a great date game, and girls would love this because it's pretty.
It's beautiful.
It's pretty.
Yeah. You know what I mean? This game would bring out the poet in any guy too. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. I really like it. And
as long as they don't attack, if you're doing a date game, don't attack the helpless vessels, okay, like he did. That does not show good things.
Wait till you're married for that one.
Yeah, that doesn't show good things for women, okay? Yeah. So stay away from being ruthless.
Yeah.
Just a pointer for you guys dating. Yeah. But yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, when I saw this whole thing, and I was like, I saw this and I was like, oh, you know what? I feel like this game is going to be, you're going to get destroyed constantly. There's only 6 things here. But it wasn't. It was it fluctuated really nicely. And it stayed around, you know, right around here. And then you can move up and down, and you could easily repair your ship, but you had to get to a planet in order to do that. I love that you can. Tyler, I love, look me in the eyes, Tyler. I love that you didn't just make it so you can repair your ship like really well at any time. You can use 2 energy here, but it's a whole action. This place you can just repair it, but you have to be on a planet, and that takes up a whole action. But you're like, I worked for it. I should be able to repair my entire ship. Amazing. I love that. It's so good. Yeah. It's so good, man. So yeah, I think that we've hit on a lot of really good points, guys. This game is the definition of something that is fun. Yeah. It is fun. And we love games that are punishing. Again, we're being very honest with you. We love games that are punishing. This game is just punishing enough. We love heavy games. We love heavy games, yes. Heavy games. This game is, I'm going to be honest, this game is
it's pretty heavy.
Decently heavy. Like, when I first saw this, I was like, I thought this was going to be a light space game. Guys, this game is actually, I mean, it is one of the heavier games I've played recently. I wouldn't say it's super heavy because it's very, there's
like the perfect amount of heaviness.
It's perfect amount of heaviness. Like if I had to relate it to, okay, so one game I will relate it to, and I wanted to do this at the beginning and I forgot to, is Star Wars Outer Rim. Star Wars Outer Rim is one of our favorite games, and we didn't think it was going to be because we don't, I mean, I'm going to be honest, guys, don't let this affect your view of us. We don't like love Star Wars. Huge Star Wars like fans. We'll watch it if it's on, you know what I mean? Unless it's Attack of the Clones or whatever. Is that the worst one?
I don't know.
I've made a lot of people mad saying that's my favorite movie, so I don't know. I think that's like a bad one, but I actually did kind of like. Anyway, Star Wars Outer Rim is very similar to this in the fact that you're going around space, you're collecting bounty, you have different ship upgrades and different missions that you're trying to do the whole time. It's very open, very sandbox style, dude. Guys, I literally went on BGG and like Google and looked after I played Star Wars Outer Rim, was like, I want another sandbox style game. I realized we liked that a lot.
Yeah.
We love the freedom of being able to choose what you want to do. However, we want the narrowness of like mission cards to give you an objective, right? So everybody's flying around doing their own thing, but you're all meeting up at different times and interacting.
And it's also a mix. It's the perfect mix of luck and strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need that. Like, I don't like purely strategy games because if your strategy slightly stinks, then you're gonna lose the game. You know, so you need the luck in there as well to throw off you or the other player. And yeah, I just really.
And I love when you can add strategy to your luck. Like when I can roll a die, I ended up getting these upgrades so I can make the die roll better. You know what I mean? So moving on, guys, a game review would not be a game review without some constructive criticism, and I'm gonna lead off with this. So one thing that can completely ruin a game is upkeep. So we have played games like Nemesis. I played Nemesis, very, very stoked for it. But the upkeep felt like 75% of the game. The rules for it's like the upkeep needed its own rulebook. It was incredibly dense. I had to go back to the rulebook a million times to look for the upkeep, and it felt like that's all we were doing was actions then upkeep. Yeah. Now, this game does have a decent amount of upkeep. When I first played, I was a little bit overwhelmed by the upkeep, and I was a little bit worried. I'm gonna be honest. I was a little bit worried, like, oh my, this is kind of a, because every ship the neutral ships have their own actions. You have to refill things, replace things, and you do that after each player has gone twice. That means that if I move twice in my turn, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, didn't even get anywhere really, just closer to the thing I want to get to, that my turn's over, and she does the same thing real quick, and we do upkeep. The upkeep in this game is actually very easy to understand. I only had to reference back a couple times because I've only played through a couple times. By like the third round, we were basically getting it. Yeah. We were like, you just smoking through that thing, super easy going through the neutral phase. It wasn't a big deal. So if you see that at first, if you read the rulebook and you see that neutral phase that's a little bit dense, guys, it's not a big deal. It's actually a lot of fun because the AI in this game with the hunter and the merchant, the way they travel around the board, keep the game flowing and moving forward needs to happen. You need that upkeep phase. It is detrimental to this game to have a great upkeep phase, and it does. And again, after like 2 or 3 rounds, totally easy, completely got it, and we were just going through it super quick. I love the bots in this game. The merchant and the hunter needed to be in this game. They literally keep the game moving forward, and they give you some cool things if you destroy them. And they're always the hunter's a constant threat. The merchant is just kind of flowing around and resetting these cubes up here, getting some bucks if you destroy him. It needed to be in there. The upkeep needed to happen in this game, and I saw how necessary it was for this game. And again, it for me did not mess this game up at all. But that is a constructive criticism, is that the upkeep sometimes when you first start playing could feel a little bit overwhelming and a little bit long, especially if you have really short actions at first.
So one thing for me is being cutthroat. We don't necessarily like to play games that way. It's not very healthy for our marriage.
Yeah, true.
Because I could stop liking him after.
What? You can't stop loving that.
I can't stop loving.
That's it.
But his likability could go down for a few hours if we play a cutthroat way. And so this game could be very cutthroat, but if you watch the review, if you watch the playthrough, we didn't play in that way, and it didn't deter. It didn't deter like how fun the game was for us. It didn't. This game, you can play totally non-cutthroat in like the blocking spaces. You know what happened up here where I took your space or whatever, and you needed that cube? That is enough of that type of it's still punishing to each other, but indirectly. It's like indirectly cutthroat sometimes. And I love that he gave you the ability to choose if you want to play cutthroat or not. And honestly, the board itself and the bots, like the hunter, is punishing enough that it makes it really tense and really like punishing without you having to hurt me. You know what I mean? Or you hurt me. Yeah, or I hurt you, but I wouldn't do that. So it's a given. But anyway, guys, I think that is our review of Spacers, the space adventure board game. Guys, remember this board game is going to be released on Kickstarter early 2022, guys. You're going to want to answer your question after that, highly recommend, guys. This game was, I'm serious, it was one of the most fun games I have played recently. Yeah, seriously. And we have good taste, obviously, right? Like, we have good taste, and this was seriously one of the most fun games I've played in a while. So guys, to finalize our review and some of our experience with Spacers, I would say that Spacers is a game that offers the same complexity, strategic depth, excitement, tension, and richness of a vast, open world, sandbox-style space game like Star Wars Outer Rim in a much smaller and accessible package. You can introduce this game to literally anybody, and it's always going to be fun. This game is a great one. It is for me, an absolute home run, and I'm excited to support Tyler in future endeavors. So once again, Tyler, thank you so much for providing us a copy. But again, guys, this is non-paid. It was just to try. And we are completely stoked and in awe of what he's done here. So congratulations on your amazing design, Tyler. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and we will see you on our next review. Take it easy, guys.